So, and shout out to Scott Holtzman, my manager, which is pretty cool because we were teammates for a long time, and now he's managing.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. The new contract, man. You signed a new contract ahead of this fight. It's your third contract with the UFC. Did you fight out your contract, your last one?
No, that was so it was superseding. So all my contracts have been before they were up, which I think is a good sign, and I'm very fortunate. Yeah. But yeah, so and shout out to Scott Holtzman, my manager, which is pretty cool because we were teammates for a long time, and now he's managing me. So that's my first contract with him. He locked it in, and yeah, really cool because it does. At the end of the day, the contracts are a formality, right? Because they all have that clause, like more or less, you can be cut at any time. Yeah. But it still is nice to get a little wiggle room, and then like he said when I got it, like it almost puts the emphasis more on performance than it does just like perfectionism. So we can go out there and worry about fighting a worthy opponent instead of like desperation,
How is it having Scott as your manager? That's like the perfect guy, right?
Man, we talk about Scott a lot at the gym still, because he's from GymO, but obviously he's retired. But it's like he's like the most professional athlete I've met, especially in MMA. Like he's just front end. Every box was always checked. He had all this stuff and the same way with managing the few of us that he has. It's been he's just a super professional. He's on top of it. Doesn't take off more than he can chew. And when we talked about it, the coolest thing about Scott is he cares, and that's all I was kind of looking for. I've had good managers in the past. There's no doubt. I've been part of bigger teams. And when I went to him, he was like, I'm not really trying to manage. I was just helping out a couple guys from the gym. I don't know if I'm your guy. And I was like, nope, that's why you're my guy, because you're looking out for me. I want to make sure I'm not going to hurt you to help myself type thing. And he came back a couple days later and was like, I'll do it. And I was like, let's go. Because he's been in these shoes. Everything from the same training camp to having to have been away from family in the past and for camps and stuff. And just, I'd much rather give my percentage to somebody who I sweat and bled with and who's actually helped me in my skill set, It's just everything in-house seems to work a little better. So it's been awesome, man. I'm really excited.
That's nice. That's great to see. And, you're 5-1 in the UFC in the lightweight division, which is incredible, to be honest with you, because not many guys are having records like that when they first get in there. 2-fight win streak. The only loss is a split decision, man. I wanted to get into that split decision and how it impacted you in your career so far.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Losing sucks, but sometimes it's necessary, especially when you're starting out. Like, I don't know. I mean, I definitely was tested at that point, but you needed to learn, I guess, how to rely on yourself in there. Like I know I'm never going to quit, but that has nothing to do with winning and losing. Like you can still end up coasting where you're just being tough, but you're not playing the X's and O's right. So I feel like, and this is no disrespect to Jared Gordon, I'm actually a big fan of his. We communicate, like super cool guy and great fighter. But I think I gave away minutes of that fight that I didn't need to. Maybe you're managing energy or you're just doing stuff that you're like, now would look at that as nuts. Like, what are you doing? Move, and go. You can push it, But that was really the fight because he's like a cardio machine. That's kind of his rep, And even from the time when we were on the CFFC regional scene, I was like debuting as he was getting signed to the UFC. So he kind of had that. He was on the main events, and he was breaking guys. So to be in there at the end, he was breathing heavy too. Maybe heavier than I was, I think. And I had him shooting on me. So it's like a loss, but it was almost like an eye opener of like, yo, man, you can hang with any of these gritty guys. Like you could have flipped a coin, but that was me on a night where I really felt like I didn't show up the best of my ability. And it really put the fear of God back into me as far as like, the practicality of fighting, because we're fighting for a career. And, I had just had my daughter a little while before that. And you almost get too practical with it. Like, oh, if I lose this fight and then this and that, and it really brought me back to the essence of competition. And then I started competing a little more in grappling, and it was a whole revitalizing experience of like, man, like, oh yeah, this is my childhood dream. Like, yes, we want to get 2 checks. Yes, we want to worry about the contracts and, things we just talked about. But at the same time, this is pretty dang cool. And I want to soak this in and squeeze every last drop out of it, and that was the big eye opener for me. And it was just about like, and the next fight after that, I think I would have probably had a little more leeway. But in my mind, that was do or die. And it was almost freedom. It was like, okay, like I may be searching for a new organization after this, or worse, a job, like, So it was like that freedom of like, if this is my last fight in this promotion for now, I'm going to give it everything I got, you know. And then I got into another scrap, another war. I got dropped in the first 10 seconds, you know. So I've kind of crossed that bridge into like grizzled vet, I feel like, and I like it. I like this role. I like where I'm at. I like the scars and the mileage, and I feel like the second half of my career is going to be way better for it.
For sure. December 2nd, man, you're going to Austin. 10 months though. I didn't expect that long of a stretch between fights. I know you had a couple injuries at the start of or after that last fight. Am I right?
Yeah, well, yes, stuff that could be worked around, but got to be pretty tough. So there's stuff going into the fight. You know, I was training the week after, but I was training around things. You know, so I was still training hard, still working on my skills and everything, but just things where basically my wife was pregnant, so she was due in July. So I was like, okay, if I fought again, I would just like it to be by June. And then I got to the point where like 8 weeks out from all the June cards, and I'm like, okay, I either need to get into a camp unhealthy or just wait. And at that point, we had the offer on the table to move from Wilmington to where, you know, GymO full time. And again, it was kind of weighing that and going, okay, I can just wait, develop my skill set, keep grinding in the gym, and I'll be 30. That, you know, I was 30, turned 30 this summer, and go, this is truly going to be the second half of my career when fall comes and we end up moving to Charlotte full time. And as it got closer, just I didn't feel confident starting a camp that I'd actually make it through the camp. So just kept working on skills, developing, taking some trips, scouting out places to live, and then by, you know, September 1st, we've been here full time. So this was the one where the long layoff was probably more my fault, you know, but I think it was good. You know, it wasn't long enough where you had to worry about ring rust or anything. It's kind of right on track with where I've been every other fight, 7, 8, 9 months. But a lot of time to revitalize, a lot of time to work on some skills. And what's nice is I come back looking a little different every time, I think. And this one especially, being here with Jeff full time and not having to travel, the wear and tear of, you know, travel days and time away from the family, and just all the added stress that just messes with your body, your cortisol, and all that. So there's definitely no stone unturned and no excuses here. Definitely the best I've been. I just got to show it.
Yeah, glad to see you know, you didn't rush back in there, man. That's the thing. Fighters, man, they could push through pretty much anything. So like even if they have like injuries or something, they're like, "Oh, I need this opportunity. I'm going to go." And
Yeah.
it doesn't work out a lot of times because they injure themselves even worse.
And if circumstances were different, you know, maybe I'm coming off 2 losses and they go, okay, you can come back now or you're gone, then you got to take it, you know, or if things are tight, but I was fortunate enough to get a bonus. It was a lot of things that just really, I was really, really blessed. And I'm looking at this as kind of act 2, you know, not the last dance, because I'd like to go another 8. I've been fighting 8 years. I'd like to go at least another 8. If my body holds up, God willing. But act 2, right? So I was like, okay, I can get my ducks in a row and get here and really start this kind of crusade toward, you know, what we want to do here. And it was just that, you know, and you hear a lot of guys talking like that now that believe in process. And I think Bo Nickel's like that. Like, oh, when are you going to fight this guy? He goes, I'll be back to UFC 300. I'm in no rush. Like, I've got a lot of stuff that we haven't scratched into yet. We're just at the surface. So, you know, whereas a lot of guys entering 30, fighting so many years, you might, you know, they might be like how good they're going to be. I think it would shock a lot of people, the things that I didn't know and the things that I haven't been able to tap into, because maybe I didn't have those resources before. So, yeah, I think it was a wise decision. I know for a fact I'm a better fighter than I've ever been. I just have to, the whole goal is to get time for the fight to unfold and to show it. You know, fighting's crazy. When you're fighting the best in the world, crazy things happen. But, you know, skill for skill, I know I'm the best I've ever been. So I'm very, very confident in that and the process.
You said that you're becoming a Grizzly veteran. You're gonna face a Grizzly veteran in Drakkar Klose, man. What do you think of him and the matchup?
Yeah, these are the fights we want. You know, those names come across your desk and you're excited because, you know, you want to. And like the thing is, like, we'll be higher up on the card because of him. You know, I mean, I have a good record too, but he's a name. You know, I'm not a name. I'm just a kind of a dark horse, if anything. So these are the fights you want. I watch this guy on TV. You know, I know how good he is, and I think that brings out the best in me. You know, it's not fun walking into fights. All fights are fun, but you don't want to walk in there going, okay, like the last fight, you know, last minute replacement. You have to really push that out of your head as far as like, oh, if I can't beat this guy, what am I doing here? Like, this is a fight where you want to go show how good you are, not going like, oh, I'm fighting down, and if I lose to him, what's going to happen? You know, what does that mean? This brings out greatness, you know. So I'm excited, man. He's well rounded. He's won, you know, a lot of fights in the UFC and a lot of decisions, which tells me, A, he can grind it out, and B, he's well rounded. You know, I think I've won quite a few decisions at this point, so I'm kind of the same guy. different skill sets, but same type of thing, like finding ways to win. So I think that's the kind of guy that, every fight I give you the same answer. I know, like, I'm going to be in there 15 minutes tough, fighting tooth and nail every position, but this is that. I think this is a fight where we can test IQs, I can test gas tanks, I can show all those things I've always kind of been known for in the gym and shown in fights, but even more so this time. So I'm excited, man, especially being back in the crowd and, get to have my family there. It's just all exciting stuff, man, all the way across the board. Just a whole rejuvenation. I really can't explain just the appreciation I have for all of this right now. The opponent, the fight, the camp, just the whole thing. So I'm in a good spot, man.
Yeah, me as a spectator looking at this matchup, I look at this fight as decision making is going to be a key to victory, right? Because like you said, you can go all 15 minutes. He goes all 15 minutes, and he finds a way to win. Your job is to combat the decision making that he does and win those battles, right?
Exactly, and that's the thing is, like, we talk about this all the time. Like, I am not the fastest. I am not the strongest. This, that. Like, I'm a dog and I'm a workhorse, but it's the IQ, right? That's why I had to work so hard, because I always thought about it. If I can keep gas to my brain, keep oxygen flowing, I'll put my decision making against anybody's. But now that's the time to go back that up. So it's an exciting test with a guy like that. That's what we're looking forward to. I believe in my coaches. I believe in the work we've been putting in, and I do trust myself out there. So I'm excited to show it, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, man, you're definitely the dark horse. You said you moved to Charlotte. Now you at GymO full time. You don't have to drive back and forth. I believe that that's so important. Your family's there, and also recovery, right? That driving is not good for recovery, right?
It's not, and the other thing so first of all, I just want to say, like, because guys leave gyms and they leave gyms, right? That's different. Still awesome relationship with those guys. Dude, I would not be in the UFC if John Salter did not walk into Fitness Edge to teach a seminar. Still one of my closest friends, one of my favorite people of all time. And it was amazing. But then the time away from the family, we had a second kid on the way. So it was just a decision. And being offered the opportunity to come coach here was huge, because it affords us, for the time being, my wife can stay home with the kids, and that's huge too. Peace of mind knowing that your kids are with someone you trust. And it was ripping my poor daughter's heart out of her chest last camp, man. She's old enough to know what's going on, and she was crying for me and stuff. So it just wasn't fun. So it was one of those where I'd rather travel back, because I have family in Wilmington still, to go get good jiu-jitsu and visit family and do that, rather than for MMA to have to come and be away. So, because when I was home in Wilmington, I was still driving during the week when I wasn't coming to Charlotte, 90 minutes once or twice a week to go train with guys my size in Myrtle Beach. So it was crazy, So now, like, my days are very much like training 2 to 3 times a day, going home, recovering at the ice tub, all the things you would expect as a professional athlete. All the things I always tried to do and wanted to do, because I'm a very front end guy. But you run out of time. You're getting to bed at 1 a.m. nights, getting up at 8 the next day to take your kid to the. It was just nuts. So, a lot of mental space freed up. And the other thing is, again, like, I'm 30 now. I've been in the game a little while. I've been doing jiu-jitsu my whole life. So being here, being able to coach and be a part of the process for the next couple generations is a fun thing too. I love coaching. I love teaching. And it's also keeping me, re-energized, So being around young, hungry guys, and trying to outdo all of them, and trying to be like, hey, I'm going to show you how it's done. Like, you're not going to be hungrier than me. You're not going to work out harder than me, and it's all the way around. It's been great. So just getting here, having that opportunity from someone I respect so much, like Jeff, to come in and teach has been awesome too. And the other thing that's huge is, I'm not left to my own devices. I'll go crazy. Like, I'll break myself physically. And being with a coach every day that's just watching and telling you when to pull back, when to push, when to do everything, and just be a soldier is really, really nice. There's no second guessing. I believe in the process, so I'm all in with it, and it's been really great.
If my memory serves me correct, I remember interviewing you when you moved to Wilmington. Did you move to Wilmington? I remember interviewing you during that process, and you didn't even have kids at that time. And it's crazy.
Nope.
Now you have 2 kids. You moved to Charlotte, and you're with GymO full time, man. It's good to see the leveling up. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, and people say what they want. I call it God's hand in my life, but it's crazy how these meetings come to be too. These people that change your life. I met John Salter at a seminar I didn't want to go to. I wanted to hit mitts that day. Like, I don't want to go to some stinking seminar, and went, oh man, this guy is great. We become good friends. I moved to Wilmington. He, corners me in all my UFC fights. We met Jeff GymO in the back room at a fight because he's holding pads, and we went, all right, who are you? Why are you here? And why aren't you our coach? You know, and off a loss, he doesn't do social media, reached out through his wife. Like, could have been like, screw that guy. He lost. I don't want to work with him.
Mm.
Hey, my husband met you. He mentioned that you were interested in cross training. He wanted you to have his number if you ever need it. Like, what a guy, you know, but these are like fateful meetings that are just unbelievable. So blessings. And yeah, dude, like my poor wife, you know, hey honey, like we're going to leave your family in Myrtle Beach and we're going to move an hour and a half down the road. Hey, by the way, I know you love your job and our house that we just bought. We're going to sell it and move 4 hours up the road. And she's just like, yeah, great. Yeah, I'm all in too. Like another dude, don't get me started about my wife. I'll start crying on camera, but another, like, I've seen more careers derailed by crazy girlfriends and stuff than anything. And dude, I would not be in the UFC if I didn't meet my wife. And yeah, just awesome, man. It's been great. And it's a big move, you know, it's been great. It's been helpful. I don't want to raise my kids through FaceTime. You know, there's careers where it's necessary. You know, the guys and girls that fight for our freedom and stuff. And I think about that. I was thinking about that during camp. Like, dude, how soft am I that 4 days, 5 days a week away from my kids, I go home on weekends and see them, is like killing me. Yeah. And there's people that have to go away for 3 months on deployment. I was like, wow, like, dang, you know. But it just wasn't for me, man. I could, knowing that I didn't have to do it, not a chance. And she was all for it too. So it's been fantastic. And yeah, it's just been great, man. What a blessing.
Strong, solid core, man, you got over there with the wife, man. It's important. You know, I could not echo it enough. Do you know, I know that, you know, you want to go all 15 minutes, you want to get grizzly, but do you see a lot of the ground game coming out in this fight? Or do you feel like you're going to be able to test your striking, display more of your striking in this one?
Yeah, man. I don't go in with any, we train for everything. I always look at every fight. And the crazy part is, like, I can kickbox, you know? And that's like the standard grappler thing to say. I can kickbox. But, like, I have in fights, you know? Like, De Silva was a very good Muay Thai guy. If anything, I thought I gave better than I got. At least one judge had it for me in the third. One had it for him, and one had it in a draw, I think. But whatever. We can scrap, you know? But I think my jiu-jitsu just tends to – that's my base. And because other guys don't have that lifelong jiu-jitsu pedigree, they always just look at the fights with me of, like, well, I'm going to make him stand. It's like, yeah, but I'm still – like, just because that's your best thing, I still think I'm as good at that as most guys. It's just I have this other thing that stands out, you know? But yeah, I never know, man. I mean, the Hubbard fight, I planned to have to stand all 15 minutes. I hit him with a left hook and he shot in, you know, so you never truly know, you know? So yeah, I always look at every fight though, from a kickboxing match standpoint first, because coming up on the regional scene, when I didn't have a well-rounded skill set, I go, what's the worst case scenario here? I can't take this guy down. And I just got to let him go. So I still kind of take that approach in a lot of ways. Like, okay, how do we beat this guy where he thinks he is best? And then how do we beat him where we think I'm best? And then we blend the two. So I don't know, but we're ready. You know, I've had partners. That's the other thing, is just having the amount of partners we have to pull from. Every single week is different guys, fresh opponents. I looked at, at coach the other day and was like, maybe I did something to offend you, because this lineup of partners, they murder as well. And they all have different skill sets. You know, who's an All-American wrestler coming in, taking you down at will? Who's a, ridiculous kickboxer getting you when you're 2 rounds in and they're fresh and you got to see these fast punches coming. So I truly believe we're ready for all of it, and I don't know where it's going to go. I know this guy can do a little bit of everything pretty well. So so can I, so be it. But no, I wouldn't mind getting out of there early either. I mean, I don't think anybody would. So if he leaves something open, I've got to be ready to attack, but at the same time, we know he's durable. We know he's well-rounded. So, we both got to pack a lunch, because this could be a darn good fight.
Well, you're pretty good at finding the submissions, man. I enjoy it. I enjoy that. But there's always those moments fighters have where, like, everybody's like label. A lot of people like to label fighters. Oh, he's a grappler. He's a striker. And people have labeled you as a grappler, but I want to see you have that moment, like, oh, you thought he was a grappler. Now you just knocked somebody out. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that.
It's great, but the funny thing is, if you look at the nuances, a lot of the striking plays in. It's like we were talking about the other day. If you watch my last fight, the takedown that ended the fight was a pull off he overcommitted. A pull, a slip out, and then I ran him down. You're like, I call that kickboxing or boxing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what? I'm not saying I'm out here being Israel Adesanya, but at the same time, you're like, it wasn't like I was kicking the knee and clinching him like how they make it out, like you're Royce Gracie. But I learned a long time ago, it's not my place to talk about. I'm not pleasing these people. You know what I mean? I've recently become a Philadelphia Eagles fan again, from the Jason Kelsey doc. And Jalen Hurts had the saying, he said, I had a purpose before you had an opinion about it. You know what I mean? And I think that God's put me here for a reason to provide for my family this way, hopefully to help other people on the way up and all these things. And I can't control what somebody's going to write in an article that nobody's going to remember a week from now, you know? So, hey, a win is a win is a win, and keep going, you know, keep stacking days and just believe in the process. That's all I'm going to do.
There you go. December 2nd, Austin, Texas, UFC Fight Night. Joe, thank you, man, so much for the time. All the best in with the newborn and just raising the family right, man. Thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate you, John. Thanks so much for having me again. As always, I appreciate it. Take care.